Hello, class. Mr. Offer again. Now, we're still on Section 8. This is part 3 of this section. And we're going to kind of switch. We talked about the Battle of New Orleans and all that. Now, we're going to switch to the industrialists. At the same time all this is going on, you're going to have two guys. Samuel Slater will be one. He'll come up out of England, and a guy named Paul Sheffield, and Arthur Sheffield, will come up, and they will come from England. They will memorize the factory plans, and they will bring textile factories to the north. Guys, the important thing I want you to try to visualize in this course is we're on Section 8. We're hurtling towards that American Civil War. That's where we're going to end this thing at. All these sessions have a little, every little thing has something to do with that. Industrialization. Remember, the North is industrialized. These guys will bring these textile factories in, and the North will become more industrialized. The South will become agricultural. Just remember that. So now one of the things I'm going to mention is a guy named Eli Whitney. We all know who Eli Whitney is. Hopefully you do. He invented the cotton gin. Now Eli Whitney is a guy through time has really been, he's taken a beating, okay? And he takes a lot of criticism because, guys, the production of cotton was a very tedious task. It took a lot to do. And before that cotton gin was invented, to give you just a really quick idea, in 1772, before he invents this, okay, they exported 150,000 pounds of cotton. By 1825, because of the cotton gin, they will export 176 million pounds of cotton. Now, Whitney was not pro-slavery, guys. Whitney was actually just an inventor. He had gone down to Georgia to visit a friend. He watched some slaves working with cotton. He thought, like most guys who are inventors, we can do this easier. We can invent a better mousetrap. So that's what he was doing. But his invention alone will make slavery more prosperous. These plantation owners now know, hey, look, if we have more slaves with this cotton gin, we can produce more cotton, we can make more money. So I always like to kind of defend Eli just a little bit there. Now, up north, there is already anti-slavery movement, guys. They're the politicians up north. You'll have guys that are going to write papers, guys like David Walker. David will write what's called the Appeal. William Lloyd Garrison will write the Liberator. These are basically newspapers that are anti-slavery. You will also have politicians that will come up. You'll have guys like Daniel Webster and John Calhoun. Webster is your guy that will represent the North. I would love to use about an hour lecture to tell you about Daniel Webster. I am just a big Daniel Webster fan. A lot of people have never heard of Daniel Webster. He could have very easily been a president, and I think he'd have been a great president. And I'm going to quote something that Webster says, and I say I quote it. I'm going to paraphrase it because I don't think I have it exactly right. And the statement is comic, whether or not he said it or someone else, but he will make this comment all during this point about slavery. He says, "For evil to succeed, good people do nothing." What Webster is trying to tell us, guys, is for slavery to succeed, for slavery to continue, the good people amongst us, we're just not doing anything. On the South, they'll have a guy named John Calhoun. I want you to look at the PowerPoint on him. Calhoun is a character. Calhoun is the guy that will take a cane and beat another congressman, a guy named Charles Sumner, up in Congress. He takes his cane, walks up behind him, and almost beats this guy to death. What you kind of feel really good, what you pick up on this section, guys, is there's a lot of tension. Our country is already, the fault line is already going towards this. You have the slave states, you have the free states. You have your southern politicians, which will represent your huge plantations. They will be on one end of this. Your northern politicians will be on the other end of it. About this time, you'll have the Monroe Doctrine. I don't have enough time to go over all of it. You need to look at it on the PowerPoint. There is test questions on the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine will be policy as per the United States is getting involved in foreign wars. Very important. Now, we're going to end this talking about the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Guys, what this was, as our country began to grow, and the states, you remember we talked about Jefferson, we talked about the Louisiana Purchase. Now they're moving out west, okay? And states like Missouri will get statehood. Every time this happens, every time, they have to debate, is this going to be a free state or a slave state? Every time. And it's really sad because that issue has to come up every time. And the Missouri Compromise will be one of several of what Mr. Offer calls Band-Aid programs. Now, that's a Mr. Offer term. You're not going to find that anywhere else. But what is the Band-Aid program? Well, if you've cut your leg really bad and you're bleeding, I just slap a Band-Aid on it, and that will hold off for a little bit. You're still going to probably bleed to death. But these little programs they're saying, okay, if this state comes in, when one state comes in, I think it's Connecticut and Missouri, one will be free and the other one will be a slave state. And it's called the Missouri Compromise. Basically, the politicians of their era did not want to address what was going on. And they came up with all these little programs. And we're hurtling, guys. When I say the word hurtling, we are hurtling towards that American Civil War. The North and the South are becoming more divided. The North is an industrial base. Your South is agricultural. Your Southern politicians are going to be pro-plantation, pro-cotton, and a lot of them will be pro-slavery. Your Northern politicians will be your industrialists, guys like Webster that want to do away with slavery, okay? And we're hurtling in that direction, okay? We're not there yet, but we're getting there really darn quick. All right, guys, that finishes up Section 8, Part 3. We'll finish up with a conclusion in just a minute.